Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. It's Cody again with the Brew and Orange podcast. This is actually episode number 20, so that is actually pretty exciting. So I'm happy to be doing this. Hope everyone enjoys listening, and I'm going to keep doing this as long as you'll have me. So let's go ahead and get right on with it. So you know what we do every single time here on the Brew and Orange podcast. The first thing we do is we rate and taste a beer here. So here we go. We got Fancy Papers Hazy IPA. Let's get over there. No one's watching yet on Instagram Live, but just to let everybody in on it, that's Fancy Papers Hazy IPA from Cigar City. So you'll see that right there. Let's go ahead and give this a shot. So, New England style IPA, 6.5% ABV, 12,000 check-ins on Untappd. That's pretty impressive. So 6,000 check-ins, a 3.8 rating nationally. I gave this a 4 back in November. I think it's really good. So let's see if my rating what's going on there, Beer Tees, thanks for joining me. So let's go ahead, just to show you, man. Here we go. Fancy Papers Hazy IPA, Cigar City, right down from Tampa, Florida. It's a 3.8 rating on Untappd, 12,000 check-ins. Like I was telling everybody, I did this one back in November of 2019. So let's see if my rating holds up of a 4. Go ahead and crack that. Happy Monday. Happy, it's Wednesday. Happy hump day. I hope everyone had a good day. Here we go. Let's pour this up. Let the Instagram people get a good look at that color. There we go. So cheers to everybody on Wednesday. Hope you had a good day, safe day. So cheers. Here we go. All right, so that's 6.8 ABV, hazy India Pale Ale. Notes of mango, tangerine, it's a juicy IPA. I agree. Citrusy, drinkable. The 4 rating that I gave it back in November absolutely stands. I do love this one because it's so easy to find here in the Tampa Bay area, and I know that Cigar City is doing a great job distributing that everywhere. So hopefully, wherever you're watching, whether it's Tampa or it's somewhere, hopefully you can get yourself some Fancy Papers Cigar City Hazy IPA. So cheers, everybody. Have a good rest of the work week. And let's go ahead and get into some Gator news. I'm sure everybody heard that Justin Shore got his waiver approved. That's huge news for Florida for many reasons. It also is now kind of a sigh of relief for Gator fans, I know, all over, because we're always the last. Our transfers are always the last to find out. It's something that Gator fans are always upset about. You see Georgia and JT Daniels got his approved right away. Now he's just waiting for medical clearance. Surprised that didn't happen before Shorter found out about his waiver. And they're still waiting for Ethan Pouncey, another transfer from he's from Texas, actually, who's a 3-star guy, came in in the offseason. So they're still waiting on his. However, Grimes, Tony, Copeland, Pitts, and you add Shorter to the mix. This is depth. It's very talented depth. It's inexperienced depth, but guys like Copeland, Tony, and Grimes are really going to be able to kind of push these guys along. Shorter's been getting a lot of praise from Mullen lately. The one knock on him in camp was that he was unable to get separation, which to me shows that he has the size of Pitts but not the speed. They talk about moving him in and out, or inside and outside. He's going to play tight end. He's going to be, what Mullen likes to do. And if he can block like they say he can, he's going to see the field often. That's going to be important from his position. I hope he can make plays the way Mullen says he can. He's big, he's tall, but if he can't get separation, then I'm not sure where he's going to fit in. So we're going to see if once he's done going against guys like Elam and Marco Wilson, he's going up against really great defensive backs every single day in practice. He's not going to see that every single game, even though the SEC is going to be tough. Let's hope he can produce because he's got the size to cause mismatch. And you know that Dan Mullen loves to take advantage of a small defensive back, a small, slow linebacker. Maybe he feels that he can take advantage of that with a tall, physical guy like Justin Shorter. So that is going to help a lot with the depth, though. So like I said, it's an experience, but it's talented. So let's move on. One more thing. 247 did a recruiting update. And we all know how we feel about 247. It wasn't all bad, wasn't all great. That's a perfect beer. Perfect beer. Okay. So 247 did the ranking update. more movers down for Florida than up, which we all kind of knew this was coming. Desmond Watson still didn't see any sort of movement on his composite or anything like that. This wasn't the composite rating. However, some guys stayed neutral. Some guys moved up, down. There were some significant movers, but none really related to Florida's targets or anything like that. So what did happen was you had guys like Tyreek Sapp move down a couple points. Guys like Burke maybe moved up a couple. But the real theme of this here is the theory that Gator fans always have, that 247 and these teams don't give Florida enough credit for the guys that they recruit. And so once again, you saw the University of Alabama have guys who had 11 guys jump up in the rankings, while Florida only had 2 and 6 of their players moved down. There's really no explanation for that except for, I guess, the feed that fuel that Florida feels that, oh, here we go again. We kind of all saw this coming, 247, rivals not taking them serious. You saw what rivals did with Collier and Marshall and moved them down, and it affected the composite rating with 247. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but when you see these patterns, it's hard not to kind of feel like that. So overall average right now for Florida is a 89.97, so almost a 90, very close. You're very, very close to a 90. 7th in the nation right now. Remember, that's at the peak of who they're taking right now. So I do expect there to be some downward movement unless Florida lands maybe the Tudmeese and the Terrion Arnold, because teams behind them like Georgia and so on and so forth don't have as many recruits committed right now, so they're going to have way more upward mobility. Like we talked about, I know at one point we said, are we going to see some players flip and possibly come back closer to home? We haven't really seen that happen yet, so it's something to keep an eye on. I mean, as this COVID situation progresses, you may have actually have some people decommit from like a northern school or from, vice versa. If they want to be closer to home, I don't know how that's going to work, but you did see there's a free year of eligibility. So these students are really going to be able to take full advantage of this. So maybe they all do stay where they are. They can transfer now freely and not lose any eligibility. So that's a big thing. So Tudmeese got a crystal ball, the 247 crystal ball. These are mods or moderators of these sites, and they're insiders, and they give their confidence levels. I didn't check the confidence level, but I did get it. An Alabama moderator gave him a crystal ball to Alabama. He did have it for Oklahoma, pulled off and went to Alabama. He may, maybe he knows something I don't know. Of course he does. That's just the nature of this right now. Remember, Tudmeese decommitted from Ohio State. He is from the state of Texas. He does not go to IMG Bradenton anymore. He's been seen in Texas A&M Florida battle. Bama is squarely in the mix for Tudmeese, and that's someone Florida really, really wants. He didn't. I think Tudmeese moved up slightly in the rankings, so that. Oh, is that weird that he did get his crystal ball? Now he moves up in the rankings. If he was trending to Florida, would he have moved down? Those are all questions that Florida fans and myself, my boy Justin, I know him, and I talk about that all the time. It's just hard not to think like that. Let's see what else. The 2022 class, remember I told you a couple podcasts ago, the 2022 class is looking to land some serious talent at the running back position. I think the first 3 podcasts I was telling you, every other day they're offering a new 2022 running back from that class. And it's talent right now. And I did look back on a couple of classes. I thought it was really interesting. So right now, Florida's offered 18 running back scholarships. 20 that's in the 2022 class. That's 9. They have 1 all-purpose back who's received an offer, so that makes it 19 from that position total. Now let's look back on a couple years. In 2020, they offered, in 2021, they offered well below 3 stars. So when I went back to the 2020, 2021 offer list from the position of running back, and I scrolled down to look at the quality of player, first off, the quantity was different. We've offered 18 right now. In 2020, we offered 23 total running backs. And last year, we offered 18. Now, this is early in the 2022 period, so I expect that number to go up, but here's the best part. When I looked at the 2 prior years, the depth of the offers that Florida was willing to give was so far below 3-star. We were offering guys who were ranked 1,000 in the nation, 50th best running backs, not ranked on the composite or the 247. That's the type of guy Florida was offering last year and in 2020. This year, it's completely changed. They've only offered 1 3-star to start off this cycle. And remember, they were able to reach out to those guys a couple weeks ago at midnight. That's when all the hoopla started. All these athletes, their phones were blowing up with coaches sliding into their DMs, calling them, texting them, offering them these scholarships. And so Florida, like I said, they're going for quality, but also quantity right now. They want to land something. They didn't land a running back out of high school in 2020 or 2021. Pierce was the last one that we landed, and Lingard came over as a transfer from Miami. So we all know how we feel about Greg Knox. The Gator team has to land one of these high running backs. What was his name? Omarion. They offered him just now. It's what made me start thinking about this. He was a 4-star guy. His offer list isn't that impressive right now. This is just one of those things. So remember we were talking about the Bama bump that just happened with the 247 rankings. That I found really interesting because remember the Ron Zook episode when he was talking to me, he made such an awesome, insightful statement about a time he was coaching at Illinois. They had just come off that Rose Bowl win, so they were recruiting pretty well, all things considered. They were battling a couple of Southern schools for a prospect, and the prospect came to Ron Zook and asked, I want to go on this Tennessee trip because if I go on the Tennessee trip, it bumps me up to a 4-star. That confirms everything that we've always thought. So that's what I thought that's the first thing I thought of today when I read the article. When I read the article about the Bama bump that took place during the 247 ranking updates. So it just goes to confirm what we all feel. You got to trust Meyer or Mullen and Billy G. You got to trust these guys' evaluations because so far it has panned out. He is able to get the most out of his players, and that's what I think he's going to get out of the Malik Davises that are there. He didn't recruit them. They came over on the McElwain train. But Mullen's going to get the most out of him there, and that's another name to look out for. Malik Davis, they're really speaking high of him. Not just the coaches, but also the players are really saying Malik Davis is looking like the old from his freshman year who was slicing and dicing Tennessee the way we saw all the time. A name to look out for sure. Again, remember, if you're on Instagram Live, Fancy Papers, Hazy IPA. There's all my peeps on the YouTube. If you're watching live, Fancy Papers IPA, Hazy from Cigar City, right off Spruce Street. Great food menu. Go check it out for sure. So let's move on to the Lightning now. So they lost Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Final. That's not something that we wanted to see. A lot of people, myself included, a lot of radio people, insiders, all thought the Lightning would close out the series last night. It didn't happen. They lost 2-1 in double overtime. I managed to stay up and watch it, unfortunately, but that's neither here nor there. They need to close it out tomorrow night. I do feel like this is a must-win for the Lightning tomorrow night. I know everyone wants to call every game a must-win, and they kind of are in a way, but no, tomorrow night really is a must-win for the Lightning. It's final. You had a 3-1 lead. You need to close it out now. Because Dallas is now sitting over there getting healthy. So you don't want to run into a fully healthy, recovered Dallas team, and you're limping into this game. So the Lightning really do, in my opinion, need to close it out tomorrow. Point didn't play last night. All indications from the sports radio and stuff I listened to today, sounds like Point is going to play tomorrow. Probably limited. I wouldn't expect him to be in the entire game. So they need to win, must win in my eyes. My prediction is a 3-1 victory for them. That's just what I'm going to go out on a limb and say. 3-1. I want to see Hedman firing pucks on net all night long. If he has even we've seen when the coast is not clear and there's tons of traffic in front of that opposing goalie, Hedman has been money from the point. He's been money from just kind of that top angle shot. And he's landing shots and he's landing these goals at all parts. 5-hole top shelf. He's really being creative. And when he is aggressive, he opens up opportunities for other guys to score these goals. And so I'm really hoping for Hedman to break out tomorrow. Point being on the ice, whether he's 100% or not, is really going to benefit how the offensive puck. And they need to control the puck and keep it in the offensive zone more. That's really, really important for playing a team like the Islanders. They do seem like they're fast. They're not hitting the Lightning a lot. The Lightning played really well last night. They just didn't do enough to win. That was a lucky goal by the Islanders. I mean, the Lightning outshot, out-hit. They really did outplay them in a lot. If you didn't watch it and you only saw it on paper, you would have thought the Lightning probably pulled that off if you just took out the final goal part. Look, they need to bounce back. It's really important that they win tomorrow because you don't want to delay this any longer. And that's just the nature of it right now. The bubbles are tough for these guys. They've moved from Toronto over to Edmonton. You want to just get settled in. So let's go on to the Rays now. So long stretch of games started. Remember, we have 5 games coming up with the Orioles. And if you remember, it was back starting on September 14th. That was the beginning of a 10-game streak of games with no time off, and 7 of those games are on the road. So the Rays, I don't know if this is they're 4-6 in the last 10, and the Yankees are 6-4. It's not a trend you want to see right now. There is 11 games left in the season. So like I said the other day when there was 13 left, I saw them going probably about 8-5, 9-4. That was my prediction. When I did that original prediction, I did think that they would split against the Nationals, and I'm glad they did. That's big. They kind of had our number, and you saw what Scherzer did to us last week. We didn't get him in the series. So that was an advantage for the Rays for sure. So we got to really hope that the Rays keep getting healthy. Zunino is traveling with the team right now. Yandy Diaz, still no timetable to his return. Cody Reed is going to be out even longer. That's it. So you've really got to get healthy. They've got to be able you just got to get the offensive guys, Lau and Meadow. They've got to do better. You've got to see more from them. Nate Lowe's actually doing pretty well, actually. I know I gave him trouble last night. Monday, he struck out 4 times. He could be interesting down the stretch with Choi and Yandy not coming back right now. I would really like to see Nate Lowe kind of take over some of the momentum that we're not seeing from the regular day starters. I mean, he's got 7 strikeouts since September 11th. That is a lot, but he has 7 RBIs, 3 home runs, and 6 hits. So if he can string together a good string of games here, can really raise his average, can really benefit the Rays with all these guys injured, and it's going to be really important. So let's go on to our final topic of the Tampa Bay Sports Roundup here. We're going to talk about the Bucks. There's not much to talk about. I like to save the Buccaneers for Friday when Justin comes on. I know he loves the Bucks, and I'm sure he's going to have a lot of great content for us come Friday. So the Bucks they lost the game against the Saints. We saw that. Chris Godwin is now in concussion protocol. We're going to see what that means in terms of going on Sunday. So that's not what you want to hear right now after after what happened on Sunday against them. It was a slow offensive game for the Bucks after the fact. And remember, I was telling Justin, they only lost by 11 points, but they give up 17 points off turnovers. It's going to be important for the Bucks to find more ways to score, not turn the ball over, and they're going to be just fine. I wouldn't panic going into the second game of the season. I expect them to rebound really well against the Panthers. The Panthers, like the Bucks, replacing the quarterback, and they lost their game as well. So it's going to be important that they have the leg up. It is a home game for the Bucks. No fans, but take advantage of being home in familiar turf. And I just look for the Bucks and Brady to come out. And yes, Brady should show more grit. I don't necessarily agree with that. You saw what Brett Favre said. He said he's barking up the wrong tree coming after Tom Brady like that. Tom Brady's a grown man. He's won a lot of games, a lot of Super Bowls. He can take a little criticism. He wouldn't have joined the Bucks if he didn't know that's what he was getting out of his head coach, Bruce Arians. We all know Bruce Arians to be very blunt and forward with his assessment of his players. This should be nothing new to you if you're a Tampa Bay Bucks fan and you've listened to any of these, after game or these post game conferences or even during practice the week like that. So I don't see this to cause any discord between Arians or the offense and Brady. I just look for them to rebound. It was the first game, shake the cobwebs off with a new quarterback and beat the Panthers. That's important. So, everyone, thanks for joining me on this Wednesday. I hope everyone has a great rest of the work week. Cheers again. And thanks, Cigar City, for brewing such a delicious hazy IPA. Fancy Papers from Cigar City. Instagram Live, check that. And remember, I gave this a 4. Go on my Untapped, Brew and Orange. You can find me on Untapped at Brew and Orange. Just follow me. Check out the beers that I've had in the past and go out there and try them yourself. Spread the word of the good local beers around Tampa and wherever you are. And if you're traveling in Tampa, make sure you check out Cigar City and get yourself a Fancy Papers Hazy IPA. Everyone have a great rest of the work week. Thanks for coming out. We're going to have more to talk about on Friday. Like I said, Justin will be on. We'll talk about the Bucks. I do have a cool interview coming up next week with Pick 6 previews. He's a Heisman Trophy voter, very well-respected, credible journalist. And he's going to be on to talk about the SEC upcoming season that starts on the 26th. So stay tuned for that next week. Again, happy Wednesday. Have a good rest of the work week. Cheers, everybody. Instagram Live, what's up?